Shigesato Itoi presents Mother, the Original Story. Written by Saori Kumi, translated by Nyaasu Nekoban, and narrated by Remy Remsleep. Chapter 1, Village of the Midnight Sun. If you're trying to find Snowman, check the area just around the North Pole. It will be there if you have a decent map or globe. It's a tiny village, but look carefully. It's there all the same, and it's famous for its midnight sun. During the summer in this part of the world, you can still read a newspaper without the need for electric lights long after the night falls and long before the day begins. If you traveled there for a visit, got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and looked out the window, it would be so bright, you think that it would be time to say, "Good morning." To put it simply, where daylight usually lasts for only half a day, it lasts an unbelievably long time during the summer in Snowman. But it was winter now, the harshest season of the year, when most of the day is like night. Dawn comes late, dusk sets early, and the afternoon is coated in a blanket of faint, dim light. Even at midday, the feeble light of a small and pitiful sun can barely be seen just above the horizon. Before the day breaks, there is a true darkness in the winter nights of Snowman that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. From beyond this thick, deep darkness, from somewhere in the rugged mountains where the snow never melts the whole year round, there came a sudden gust of wind. The wind made its way through every part of the little village, as if it were searching for something. It made the snow blanketing the rooftops dance, lightly shook the weather-worn shutters, and made clusters of wintry trees tremble, paying a visit to each and every place it could reach. At this hour, all of the people and animals were still asleep, so the wind seemed to show restraint and consideration, even though it appeared to become somewhat frustrated. Without having found what it was looking for, the wind dejectedly turned back towards the mountains. Then suddenly, it paused. "Here! I'm here!" Clinging precariously to a small plot of land near the base of a mountain, there was a tiny church, and from it there came a response. "Have you come? Have you come at last? Is it you? I'm here. I'm Anna. I've known you for a long time. I've been waiting for you. Surely you know me. Tell me, what kind of person are you? Just who are you?" The wind did not answer, and seemingly delighted, it swirled itself into a tight curl and vanished. Behind it, it left a young girl whose eyes still looked as though they were only halfway out of a bad dream. For a short while, Anna held still, and she waited. As if in a state of sleep paralysis, she lay there staring at the ceiling, not wanting to overlook any sensations, keeping her eyes, her ears, and her mind open. But after that, there was nothing more. "It's gone. Again." Anna took a deep breath and relaxed. She couldn't be sure if what she had been seeing were dreams or illusions, or if they were actual messages of some kind. In any case, it seemed like it was not the time for her to understand them just yet. Finally feeling at ease, she let down her guard for a moment, and suddenly her mind was flooded with the same sorts of broken, disjointed images as usual. Electric desk lamps bearing fangs and attacking, zombies, foes that looked like strange machines, fighting off tigers, elephants, and alligators in the ruins of a zoo, suffering terrible wounds, feeling so exhausted and worn out. They had all seemed so terribly real, the details in these visions. In fact, they were more like first-hand encounters. After experiencing them so many times, they could better be described as her own memories. For quite some time, she'd been having these dreams every night. Now, not only did they come at night, but even in the middle of the day when she would suddenly feel her mind drifting somewhere far away, tossed into some world that was not here. No, it would certainly be wrong to call them dreams. There were parts that seemed like dreams, but these were something different. Throughout her young life, Anna had always had these strange powers. She could read the thoughts of others and could heal small wounds with only a gentle touch. During a tantrum when she was very young, she inadvertently shattered all of the windows and teacups that were nearby, and she became more careful from then on. She practiced lifting objects without touching them and communicating with birds and animals, and had learned to control abilities like these, but still, from time to time, she would scare herself. If ever her temper flared, something like invisible lightning would lash out and strike at anything or anyone nearby, and she would not be able to stop it. Perhaps she also has the power to see things that are happening far away, which could explain these dreamlike visions, but she couldn't use it as she pleased. It would not reveal to her any particular thing she wanted to know, and it would not take her to any specific place she wanted to see. If it could, there was only one thing she wanted to know right now. She had only one urgent desire, but unfortunately, Anna could not use this power at her will. It wasn't until recently that she started to realize that there may be someone out there, Someone special who is just like her. Maybe it is only certain people who are able to use this power. Perhaps there is someone out there with the same abilities as Anna, and maybe that someone is sending out a transmission, projecting their own experiences into Anna's mind. She tried blocking it out, and she tried ignoring it, but it did no good. On top of that, her voice didn't seem to get through in reply, which made her life utterly miserable. It was as if they were a broadcasting station and she was a radio without a working dial, only able to take in the frequencies. She didn't understand why this was happening to her, but these visions that kept occurring in her mind only further proved the idea that there must be another with abilities like hers.
If only there was one other out there, but who on earth are they?
From all those fleeting images, she had come to understand a little bit about this certain someone. He seemed to be a boy, about the same age as she was. Brave and energetic, he wasn't a bad kid, but he was rash and violent, and seemed to be lacking in sensitivity, which caused Anna to wince from time to time. For example, there was a time he'd encountered a red-haired girl named Pippi, who always smiled so shyly. When she offered him a brightly glittering badge, Anna felt a painful twitch in her own heart. In that brief exchange, Pippi's sadness, the loneliness she felt as they parted ways, could be read so clearly. But as for this broadcaster, he felt nothing at all. She had given him her most precious treasure, yet he seemed to think absolutely nothing of it. His head was only filled with thoughts of continuing his journey. When he went to a wide-open park of some sort that was all in shades of pink and where the air was filled with sweet scents, he should have been more wary, but he only seemed to feel a strange sense of nostalgia. When he met with a curious woman who appeared to be something like a queen, he just stood there in a daze with his mouth half open, blinking his eyes way too much. He seemed simple and childish. He didn't appear to be very bright at all, but there were times where she felt closely in touch with this boy's feelings, like the moment when he opened a set of steel doors and was so deeply moved by the sight of the boundless blue sky. He seemed to be on a roof of a school somewhere. It was here that he found another boy, all alone. Anna's lips have moved along with this broadcaster's as he spoke.
Yo, Lloyd, I've been looking for you. My name's Ken, and there's something I could really use your help with.
That was it. Apparently this broadcaster was named Ken, and lately he'd been traveling with a boy who wore thick glasses. That boy must be Lloyd. The one he called Lloyd was a scrawny little weakling who seemed utterly useless. He was all talk, but then when there was any real danger, he would just flail his arms and squeal. If an enemy was particularly strong, all he would do was sit on the ground covering his head in his arms. He was a hindrance. You'd be better off alone in a fight than with him at your side, or so Anna thought, but apparently Ken thought differently. He took great care to stand up for and protect him. Even though Ken would have been able to travel faster on his own, he would often spend a good deal of money to allow Lloyd to rest. He was not always so lenient with him, though. Their most dislikable feature, Anna thought, was that they were both Mama's boys.
Oh, Mama, I wonder how you're doing.
Lloyd had been mumbling to himself one night, unable to sleep. Ken furrowed his brow, then let out an exaggerated, loud laugh, a good strong,
You dummy,
he said.
You're killing me here. What's your problem? Not off your mama's milk yet? Everything's fine. I'm sure the old hag next door is taking good care of her, and she's got plenty of money. Besides, even if you were there with her, it's not like there's anything you could do. Ugh, you shouldn't talk like that,
said Lloyd as he sat up and put on his glasses.
Sometimes you cry out during your nightmares and you call for your mom or Mimmy or Minnie. Sometimes you wake up screaming and you're covered in sweat. But have I ever laughed at you? Have I laughed at you even once?
Don't go there, Ken growled.
Well, then stop making fun of me,
Lloyd shot back.
Besides, your mom's not even sick. My mom, if we don't find the cannon flower, if we don't find it, she's going to die before next spring.
Well, Ken began sitting down on the bed while scratching the back of his head.
For your information, it's not just your mom whose life is in danger. Clearly, all of mankind might not make it to next spring. The entire world is at stake here. Gah, I know that. Then stop calling for your mommy and get to sleep,
Ken cried.
'Cause tomorrow, we go mountain climbing. So pull yourself together and get your strength up. I'm begging you, Mr. Genius Kid Scientist.
At that point, this broadcast had been forcefully interrupted by a thrown pillow.
Boy, would I have some choice words for those two if I'd been there,
Anna thought. Ken's mother was only separated from him by distance, in their house in some faraway town. And while it was unfortunate that Lloyd's mother was suffering from some incurable sickness, it sounded like she was still definitely at home, somewhere. If they wanted to see their mothers, why didn't they just go see them? These boys had made the decision to leave their homes, and it was by their own choice that they were continuing onward, yet they still pined for their mothers.
What a luxury.
Anna sighed out loud, and as she did, she realized that her throat was dry. She quietly got out of bed and put on her slippers. She had planned to go to the kitchen and drink some water. However, as soon as she opened her bedroom door, she noticed that there was a light coming from the chapel.
My father must also be awake,
she thought.
Maybe he couldn't get much sleep either. Come to think of it, it will be dawn soon anyway.
Anna breathed a small sigh and quietly stepped into the chapel.
O Lord, have mercy. Graceful Father, please grant thy children restored peace all across this earth.
Her father was kneeling before the chapel's cross with his head bowed, and he was offering a prayer in a low voice. Anna gently gathered her skirt and her nightgown, lowered herself quietly into a pew in the back row, and she clasped her hands together.
We are all waiting,
her father prayed,
for our salvation, for your protection. Please, we implore you, somehow, please help us.
Anna held her lips tightly closed, and she prayed from her heart.
Please, let us know. Let us know if Mother is all right. If she's still alive, please bring her home safely soon. Please tell us what we should do. O Lord, who shines light through the darkness for the sake of us all, please send one who is righteous to those of us who are lost.
Anna's mother had been missing for a month. She had gone to Youngtown on official business for the church, but she had never returned. The circumstances were rather unusual. On that same day, all of the adults in Youngtown also vanished without a trace. Rumors began to spread. Rumors that aliens had abducted them and taken them all to Mount Itoi. And this was just one of the many chaotic events that have been happening all over the world lately.
Send one who is pure, who does not fear the bad omens, and who knows light from darkness.
Anna and her father knew very little about what was going on in the outside world. The horrible things that were happening all over the globe, which made headlines in newspapers and were discussed all over television. The strange rumors, the threatening skies, these things they certainly knew about, more or less. But Snowman was a quiet, snow-covered mountain village. Trends which began in bigger cities would completely fade out before they reached this distant countryside. For Anna, who had been born and raised in a small town such as this, it always seemed that any major incidents began and ended in places she felt no connection to. She had no concept of something like a worldwide crisis. This was probably why she felt such contempt for the immaturity of those two boys. Her father's prayer continued.
Send one whose heart is strong, who can be discouraged by no hardships, who can scale even the highest mountain that may rise in his path.
Her father was suffering. He truly loved her mother, and he was worried. She was all he had, and now she was gone, possibly abducted by aliens, by demons, or by someone she met in Youngtown. They had no way of knowing for sure. How could he possibly set this aside, even if it was just one small part of all of this chaos? Her father was a pastor, so of course his family was precious to him, but he had to consider the job bestowed upon him by God above all other things. He was still a pastor first, and if he lost his composure and offered prayers half-heartedly, or if he were to leave the village to search for his wife, the people of Snowman would have no idea what to do. Even as it was, the rumors were already beginning to spread, rumors that the world was coming to its end. Anna's father would neatly slick back his thinning hair, trim his mustache, tighten up his gown just a little, and put on a kind of smile. When anxious and frightened townspeople came to him, he would put a gentle hand on their shoulder, and in his deep and soothing voice, he would assure them that everything would be all right. Still as diligent now as always, but in the hours just before daybreak, when he wasn't expecting any visitors, he would quietly steal off into the chapel like this, and he would pour his whole heart out into his prayers.
I cannot go myself. It's not my place. So please send us someone who can handle this.
Aside from offering prayers like these, there was nothing else her father could do. Kneeling as he was, her father's darkened figure looked so strangely small. Anna bit her bottom lip. Her long eyelashes fluttered and a teardrop fell.
It's no use. It has to be me. I'll go,
she thought.
I'll go find my mother and save everyone else too. I'll go off on a journey full of struggles with no way of knowing when I'll come home, or if I'll even come home at all. Those dreamlike things, they were probably supposed to be something like a preview. They must have been sent to me to let me know I'm going to meet those boys soon so that I wouldn't be confused at all and I'd be able to prepare myself. But really? Could that really be it? Would God really urge a girl just short of her 13th birthday to make such a grave decision? Would he really give her such an important role?
Shine thy light upon us, rise thy torch through this dark night, that this righteous one may not be led astray, and should his strength ever fail him, grant him tranquil respite. Though we welcome all travelers, we would welcome the one who presses on the name of virtue with more hospitality than those of our own blood, and we pray for him.
If it is the Lord's will, then...
Anna wiped her eyes and rubbed her cheeks.
Lord, my life is in your hands. I'm scared, but I'm going to do my best. I've never left home before, and I'm very nervous, but I'm going to fight.
And one day surely he will raise that sword in the name of glory, and his lips will sing songs in praise of the Lord, and once again the earth will be...
Excuse us.
Visitors?
Her father turned around, trembling with a mixture of surprise and hope on his face. Suddenly, the church door swung wide open. As they did, the dazzling light of the morning sun burst through. In this light stood two shadows, not very large, but still rather impressive.
Sorry, we're just here to drop off a lost item.
Hardly apologetic for interrupting the prayer, and now barging in uninvited, was a young boy with his baseball cap askew. He wore a backpack and carelessly shouldered a fine-looking baseball bat that glittered like gold in the sunlight.
So, somebody, apparently a girl from this village, dropped their hat in the train station in Reindeer,
The boy said.
We figured if we left it at this church, they could come pick it up or something. Jeez, the world's in chaos and I still gotta spend my time doing dumb little chores like this.
Anna quickly rose up and walked over to the boy.
It's mine,
she said.
Oh?
The boy had blue eyes and his face, spotted with freckles, broke into a wide grin.
Oh, finally.
He sighed.
I even said to myself, I bet it belongs to some dumb, stupid girl, and lo and behold, there she is. What a pain in my... Ken. You're Ken. And so this must be Lloyd.
Anna said, ignoring him.
What the... How did you...
In the bright morning light reflecting off the snow, time seemed to stand still for a brief moment. Both the boys and her father froze fast, as if they were playing red light, green light. They had no idea what was going on. The only one who did, the only one who understood everything, was Anna. She felt a bit of pride in this, naturally. Anna confidently straightened herself up, and one after the other, she shook hands with the boys, who had bewildered looks on their faces.
So, we finally meet. Today is the day.
Their hands were still hot and a little dirty from their journey, but she'll admit, they felt rather nice.
Pleased to meet you both. My name is Anna, and I'm going with you.
As she said this, Anna aimed her thoughts at Ken's heart and let them fly.
Don't make fun of me just because I'm a girl. I know I can be a great help to you. But first, you've got to lend me your strength and help me save my mother.
Anna, where exactly are you going?
Asked her father, looking quite fearful before even hearing the answer.
Isn't it obvious? We're going to save the world!
Lloyd replied as he confidently put his hands on his hips.
Believe it or not, we are the Global Defense Force, and we have solved many, many crises already.
Defense Force?
Said her father as his jaw dropped loosely.
Yup, that's correct. Me and Ken here, you know, we're kind of a big deal if you guys haven't figured.
Lloyd replied.
Well, let's start things off right. It's nice to meet you as well, Miss Anna. I'm sure we'll be good friends.
Why, yes, of course,
said Anna.
But,
Lloyd went on,
there is something I'm terribly curious about. It's this. How is it that you knew about us already?
Ken shared Lloyd's curiosity.
I was about to say that myself. What the heck was that all about? We can talk about that later,
Anna replied.
We'll have plenty of chances from now on.
Well, I suppose that's true,
said Lloyd.
How terribly logical of you.
Hey, wait! Wait!
Her father interjected, nearly tripping over his gown.
Please, wait! What on earth are you saying? You three are going to save the world? You couldn't possibly. You're only children.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This again?
Ken's frustration burst directly into Anna's mind, uninvited.
Everywhere we go, all we hear is adults talking down to us saying, you're just kids, you're just kids. And yet, people like him take advantage of kids as often as they can. If this is how the world's gonna be, maybe we should just let it fall apart. Wow, this kid's got issues.
Just as she thought this, Ken's eyes met Anna's, and his eyebrow twitched.
Well, I don't understand it all, but I'm glad this girl's not ugly at least. In fact, she's kinda hot. Especially in that nightgown.
Smack! Ken looked completely shocked as he held his cheek, which was turning red. Apparently he was totally unaware of the fact that he was transmitting his thoughts after all. And sure enough, Ken was the broadcaster and Anna was the radio. To her realization, it didn't appear to work the other way around.
You guys go find something to eat while I go get changed,
Said Anna coldly. She took her leave and then gave a little sigh.
Mother. At this rate, I can't be sure what the future might hold for us.